Yo, what's good, guys? We are back on MLB The Show 23 at the start of set 5. We have a new team affinity to go over. I do these videos every single time there's a new team affinity, which is roughly about every 2 months. So if you are new to the channel, or if you may have forgotten some things, or aren't quite up to date on the changes to team affinity because they've made slight tweaks to it, I'm going to go over it in this video, as well as the fastest way you can complete team affinity. Just noteworthy because on the last time somebody was not the happiest. Just because it's the fastest way to complete Team Affinity does not mean it's a fast process. In seasons past, it's probably taken around 20 to 30 hours depending on how good you are at the game. And this season, I would say it's about a 10 to 15 hour process depending on how good you are at the game. So basically, I'm going to go over it. If this is at all helpful for you guys, I would urge you to like and subscribe. And let's get into it, right? So I'll break down Team Affinity very quickly. You have your captains here. Basically, captains have stat-specific missions you need to achieve with them, and they will add progress to this meter. So you get a couple of them at the start. You also get a Retro Finest. These have one-time missions for PXP that you need to knock out. Other than that, you don't have to use them anymore after that. And then you get these you get these 2023 Finest packs, right? These have repeatable goals for 1,000 PXP with players from the division. So basically, after you get 2 to 3 of these, you start flying through that goal. It goes super duper fast. So basically, once you get to around 100,000, 110,000, whatever it is, it'll just start flying by. Basically, after you get to this point, you're pretty much home free and you're done. So I'm going to break it down for you guys, the order that is the most efficient. If you want to do any exchanges, I would say do them at the start. Otherwise, you can always just kind of use them to leapfrog to the next goal if you're really close to something. So this is the order I would go in. Start with your 2 showdowns. There was 3 in seasons past. Now there's only 2. So that saves you a little bit of time. Very nice of them to do that, to finally realize that it's a little too much to ask for Team Affinity every single season. So you do your 2 showdowns. That gets you 20K. That's going to get you 2 captains in each division, right? Pick a team of players that synergize with each other. Don't pick 5 different shortstops because you're not going to be able to work all of those into a lineup. Try to be smart about it and pick a lineup that you can play with. And then you are playing the Conquest, right? Doesn't really matter what order you go in. Just make sure when you finish one, you pick all your rewards. You slot those new players into your team so you can start getting progress with them. And then you finish the other Conquest. There's only 2 this time. There's usually 3. So, again, saving you a little bit of time there. And then after you've gotten to that point, you're picking the new players, obviously. And you have a decision to make, right? You can do any exchanges if you're very close, like I said. But other than that, now we have these online missions. Basically, for every 10 innings you pitch, you'll get 4,000 Team Affinity progress that you can put in any of these paths of your choice. It's not the fastest, but it is something, right? Prior to this, the only way you earned Team Affinity progress for playing online was just getting PXP. And yes, you do earn more PXP in online play, but typically you're going to perform worse with players online than you would against a CPU on a low difficulty. So it kind of balanced itself out. But this voucher could make the difference. If you're happy with the progress you've made, if you're at like 100,000, you can probably just start doing these online missions and you can kind of ride it out. And it'll probably take you a couple weeks, give or take. But eventually you will complete Team Affinity just by doing it that way. You can do it in ranked, or my suggestion would be do the event. Anytime there's a new Team Affinity, they drop a 2-week-long event where you can use the Team Affinity players. And usually it's on a semi-low difficulty like All-Star. And usually you can pick whatever park you want. So you just go to a hitter-friendly park, hit a ton of nukes, and you get that online multiplier. And it's very good for knocking out the final stages of these after you have a lineup of like 9 of these Team Affinity players. So that's option one, and it's probably going to take you longer on average, I would say. Option two is mini season. So this is what I'm doing at the moment. You can see I'm 13 games in. I have a mini season lineup that I will show off, I guess. You can see this is what we're running with. You want as many of these 2023 finest players as you can in the lineup. Obviously, from Team Affinity, not from the packs. Don't put Devin Williams in. Don't put Evan Phillips in. Don't put Francisco Alvarez in. They don't count. They have to be from Team Affinity. So this is the lineup I've kind of came up with. And then I've got all these guys that need 150 on the bench. And this is the pitching staff rotation that I'm trying to use. Basically, if I need to use a relief pitcher, I'm trying to use Felix or Class A. I think Hinkie probably still needs a little bit of PXP. He does. But basically, you're making a roster of this, and then you're playing mini seasons with it. This is the stage I'm at. I'm at like 55 to like 70% in pretty much all the Team Affinities. By the time I finish this mini season, I'll probably be at 85 to 90% in most of them. And I'll use the vouchers that I get at the end of this to complete most of them. The number is usually about a mini season and a half to kind of get that extra PXP and those extra like 2 vouchers. Me personally, I probably won't play another mini season after this because it is very boring, and a mini season can run you anywhere from 4 to 6 hours, depending on how many games you quit out of, how many you win, how many runs you put up, stuff like that. So I'm not going to do 2. I will do this one. I'll get to 80 to 90% in all the categories, use all my vouchers, and then I'll probably hop in the event for the last little bit of PXP. Or your final option, if you just need a little bit, is go play versus CPU. Play on either rookie or veteran. Pick some team with an awful pitching staff like the Rockies, A's, or Orioles. Somebody like that, and play at a created ballpark if you are on next gen. If you're on current gen, play it like Shieldwoods, and you should be fine. And that should get you most of the way done with your Team Affinity. Something to note, there are no Team Affinity captains this time, which is a little unfortunate. And all of these players do not count towards your PXP goals, basically. They count for the teams. They don't count for, like, the 2023 finest cards. So I would urge you to not use these cards, although these final 3 are incredibly good cards and justify kind of doing the Team Affinity grind. Even if you're not going to use any of these cards, like, all the captains are pretty trash. Yasmai Grandal is pretty good. Robbie Ray's pretty good. Sheffield's great. AJ Burnett is pretty good. Adam Dunn's pretty great. Matt Holliday's pretty great. George Brett's pretty great. Mike Napoli is awesome. He's a top-tier option at catcher or first base. Mike Zunino's very good. Jim Tomei's very good. Eddie Murray's very good. Mattingly's not bad. Tony Clark is decent. Jimmy Rollins is very good. And then out of these, 2023 finest cards, Robert is very hit or miss. Felix Bautista, extremely good. Devers, very good. Judge, very good. Rooker, great as a DH. Trout, very good. Altuve, very good. There's a lot of very good, very usable cards in Team Affinity. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth your time. Even if it is going to take a lot of time, even if you don't get to play online on the weekend like you hope for, I think in the long haul it's going to be worth it, especially because look at the XP. I've not played the game that much this weekend, and I'm already at 200k because of the Team Affinity stuff. And doing like the weekly stuff and the trick or treat stuff, all the stuff you get along the way, the divisional round playoff stuff, all of that contributes and it adds up, right? I already got my Ellie. I sold him for like 200k, give or take. So that's a huge dub, right? That card will be 50k eventually. And then I'll get another one, and I'll get Acuna. And will I sell him for $1 million? Probably not. Will I sell him for like 700k? When he'll probably retail for 200k in a couple weeks from now? Yeah, I probably will. So it's also worth it for that. The more you grind right now, the more valuable your rewards in the season path will be. and it kind of rolls over, right? Because by the time you get this last boss pack, they might already be 50k, but by the end of the season, they're going to be 20k. And if you can get this little repeatable 25k wheel and land on the boss pack a couple times, they're going to be worth more to you now than where they would be at the end of the season. So it's also making you stubs, which is very important right now because every new card that comes out is multiple hundreds of thousands of stubs. So I think it's worth it, right? Go grind your Team Affinity. Go knock this out. It's mostly the same as it has been, but they have tweaked a few little things to make it easier for us. Finally, got sick of doing that grind, and it is a little bit lighter. You can save a little bit of time by going ahead and knocking it out now instead of waiting until later in the season. So that's all, guys. If this was helpful, again, I would urge you to like and subscribe. Till next time, peace.